What I might say, so thank you very much all of you, and we have a nice selection with a flute and a horn and a cello and a viola and a singer who is not here yet, so I'm very grateful for those people. I thought I'd like to tell you a little bit about me, which might explain why I work the way I work. I started to play the cello when I was 6 years old. And I got on really very fast, and I went in for those poisonous little competition festivals we used to have, and I won every cello class that I went in for. It wasn't that often, but I always won, so my story is total success, you see. This went on year after year. My mother thought this isn't good for her, so we'll put her in a class that is too high for her. So she put me in that class, and I won it with 10 marks to spare. And this was very embarrassing and uncomfortable for me because I was beginning to compete against the grown-ups. However, we still had the success by the time I was 11. By the time I was 12, something nasty had happened and it had all fallen apart, fallen to pieces. And for the first time, I didn't win my class. Now, this is a horrible failure, isn't it, when you're used to success? And it was very sort of upsetting, but far more upsetting than that, because I never did, I was just pleased in passing at winning the classes. I didn't do a fantastic amount of work. It just all seemed to come naturally. And that's what happened. And I was pushed a bit, of course. It all came naturally. And then it all fell apart. So they said to me, well, you have to work harder, practice harder. So I did, and it didn't help. Now, this is all you know about. All you know about is practicing. And if that doesn't work, this is really very profoundly distressing. Well, my mother says I got a bit difficult at home. So they shipped me off to boarding school, which meant that I had a new cello teacher. And my new cello teacher said to me, now tell me, my dear, what have you been doing? So I told her about all the grand things I'd been doing. So I gave my credentials, as it were, with my left hand. I said, this is what I've done. But my soul and heart were saying, but I can't do that. Now, this is a really nasty split. You know, you have. I said to myself, but you have, so you have to tell her about this. But I can't. Anyway, she saw that, and she knew what to make of it. She was a very remarkable person, and she remained a friend to the end of her life. And she simply let me quieten down and catch up with myself as I see it. And then I went to college, where I did well, in spite of this state of not knowing what I was doing, still prevailing, and the practicing didn't seem to make things better, but nevertheless I got on. It's taken me about 40 years to realize that you can actually get better and worse at the same time. Nobody knows that. That's not allowed for, you know, that you can be getting better and worse at the same time. So I went to college, and I did well at college, and I got a scholarship to travel abroad when I'd finished. And the same teacher from my school days said to me, because you have to decide where to go and you look at all the big names and who shall you go to, and she said, my dear, what about Pablo Casals? Now, he was the supreme giant, and I said, I couldn't possibly go to him. She said, well, I don't see why not, because, you see, he could always say no. And I thought, that's right, he could. So I went to Pablo Casals, the big, great giant of all time.